the one that I saw next is, reviewing the gross and net profit per customer and SKU. Since we're kind of talking about the financials and stuff, I wanted to highlight this. Super, super important. I don't see too many companies doing it terribly well. Why don't you, talk about it, put your spin on it, and then let's dissect it.
Yeah, you've got to know where you're making your money. So let's say you've got a fairly complex e-commerce business and you're selling multiple different products and or services. You have to understand where you're actually making your money. Let's say that you've grown this business and now you've got a $10 million business, and $8 million of it are these products that you're selling and $2 million are these services that you're selling. You have to be able to track where you're making your money. So if you sold $8 million worth of products and your cost on those products was $7 million, you made $1 million in $8 million in revenue. That's $1 million in gross profit. If, on the other hand, you're also selling services at $2 million and 100% of that is gross profit, right? So your $2 million, you make $2 million. $8 million in revenue, you make $1 million. Which is your more profitable line, and where should you go? And so here's the thing. You can't make strategic decisions about where you move in your business if you don't understand where you make money, which goes right back to that financial statement, right? Understanding how you do that. And so you need to understand, if I'm selling these products, let's say that you've got an online store and you're selling 50 products. Which ones are your most profitable products? Where do you make your money? It may not be the ones that have the highest margin. Let's say you bought this for $1 and you're selling it for 10. It may be the ones that you're buying for $5 and selling for $10. Why? Because you're selling a higher volume of those products. And so it's so important to be able to track that stuff, to know who your biggest customers are, how profitable they are, knowing how much money you're making on each one of your products, because then you can make decisions about, well, I'm not making enough money on this product. Let me give you a great example that's outside of the e-commerce world. I bought a company in Chicago. This would have been, in probably 1998. And it was a $33 million business, but it was losing $5 million a year. And so we went in. First thing we did is I said, let me see a profitability analysis of every one of our products, and I want to see a profitability analysis of our customers. Our finance team kind of pulled their hair out to try and get to what the profitability was, but I needed a P&L by customer. Turns out that I had 5 customers that I was way underwater on, meaning that I was losing money every time I took them product. And so I made the very easy decision that I needed to go back and renegotiate those contracts with those customers. So I took that, armed with the data of how much money I was losing and how much money we were getting from them. I went to each one of those, they were very large hospitals, went to each one of those hospitals and I said, we're losing money on our deal. I recognize we negotiated this contract, but we're losing money on the deal and we can't do that. So we got 2 options. Either A, let's renegotiate to at least get me to a break even, so I'm not losing money bringing products to you, or B, I am perfectly happy for you to break the contract and move on to somebody else. 3 of those 5 customers went on to somewhere else. 2 of those customers allowed us to renegotiate the contract. We went from a $33 million business to a $28 million business. 33 million losing $5 million a year to a $28 million business making $1 million a year, just by cutting loose 3 customers where we were losing money. So that's why it's so important to be able to understand where you make your money, where your profit comes from, so that you can make strategic decisions about your business. I probably overhammered that for you. Sorry, Nate.
No, it's a really good case study. I've got a similar one. In the early days of e-commerce, 2012, 13, 14, for me in my career, I didn't have a SKU level reporting in the shopping cart that I was using. So I built one, and I was analyzing my customers by the dates that we acquired them. It was a subscription-based e-commerce business, so those customers had several months worth of recurring orders that they would have. And once I built that, it gave me tremendous insights to being able to understand, what was the profitable products to sell, what were the profitable demographics of my customers, and the customer personas to sell to. Was using affiliate networks as well, so I was measuring the performance of affiliates and through the affiliate networks. So there's a variety of different things that I was watching. And I sold it in 2016 to a shopping cart. It was a fantastic exit. And then my hard luck story is, after having spent all that time building that system, selling that system, continuing to use it, I failed to properly train my staff when I handed that off in 2017. And the members of my team that were, watching over that were missing some of the key performance indicators that they needed to be watching. And it took me a little while to figure out, like, where's all the, where's all the cash going? Like, why are we having these bad months all of a sudden? And it was super painful, super humbling to have spent all that time and effort building that, and my own team didn't know how to use it. And I failed to, I'm the leader, the buck stops here. I failed to transition and properly train them to the point by which we could still steer the ship in a profitable direction. And this report is also just kind of a seller and buyer hack. If you're a buyer, you're going to ask for this report. If you're a seller, you're going to be prepared to hand this report over when you have an LOI, because this is going to be critical to making sure the buyer can get comfort and reduce their risk around the profitable SKUs in your business, and that you as an entrepreneur on the sell side know what's driving the profit. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?